Hey everybody.
Hello. Let's see here.
How you doing, Lisa?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing good. Did you have a wonderful long weekend?
Oh my gosh, yes. It was beautiful. We had
Hmm.
beautiful weather and then we had some storms come in with some hail, but it was nothing
Hmm.
damaging, so we can deal with that. And
Hmm.
we actually
Wonderful.
got some rain.
Yay.
Very exciting. How about you?
Mhm. It was nice. It was nice. We had a lot of fun. Did more gardening. Just got some more stuff done around here.
Good.
Hey, Good Times Homestead with Jen and Steve. And the weather's been amazing. Hey, Mickelson Family Homestead. Good to see you all.
And I'm posting links as I can here, so don't think I'm being rude and not paying attention,
Oh,
folks.
no worries.
Um, That's awesome. That's awesome. Is your garden fully in?
Um, yes.
Good.
Although I don't feel like I'm done. Do you know what I mean? So, okay, so I got to say no because I started cucumbers and they're still little bitty. I don't want to put them out there yet. If
I'm
I was,
putting mine out itty bitty.
are you? I
Hmm.
did see I have some little bitty tomato volunteers out there. Like I needed any more tomatoes because I've got tomatoes all over the place. Hey, sassy gal prepping.
Yeah, and
Thank
you're
you for
right.
joining
Good
us.
times homestead. No kidding. You're never done.
Never done. Yeah, and oh my gosh, I didn't use the black fabric.
Yep.
I can see why people like heck, it's not even weeds, it's grass. I'm out there pulling grass. I did finally, my corn is finally come up. They're granted, they're only about this tall. But
Yep.
I'm so excited because it's my first year ever planting corn. But yeah, fun stuff. And I still have some that are like this. And I haven't stopped. I'm still, you can see the light behind me. There's still things I want to grow. I tried to start some of my plants, my starts didn't take. So
Yeah.
I'm restarting them.
I
And
have a small square, thing like this big of
Mhm.
flowers behind me, and my marigolds didn't do well, which is
Huh.
odd because my
Mhm.
marigolds do amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
I did good with my marigolds and I need to start more, I think.
yeah, so I'm gonna up pot them and see how they
Mhm.
go, and then I've got a couple of have been hard to poblano seeds have been hard to find for me that
Huh.
are not hot.
Huh.
And so we like to have them. And I don't think I can actually grow them here, especially now because I didn't get an early start on them. But what I did was I saved seeds from these excellent grocery store ones that we got.
Yeah.
And I finally have one plant coming up. It's got its first leaves, but
Mhm.
I'll throw it in the greenhouse if there's room and see how it goes.
Mhm. Awesome.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I have some like, in the pods. I've got some in the, remember in the beginning, I was like, I'm trying not to upplant. I should have just faced the facts, man. I'm gonna be upplanting all season probably. And um, one of the things that I almost want to pull the box over here because I got the box sitting out here next to me is the hydroponics supplies that I bought when you were doing all of the crack key and I was following you so closely with that because I really want to have some crack key hydroponic lettuce, spinach, possibly cilantro. I don't know. I might put the cilantro outside. And I've decided I want to have some pots on my porch too. I'm just I'm so nervous about losing some of my plants to bugs.
yeah.
And we need to fence off some areas where we've got the garden. Like I don't think wildlife has not noticed yet, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Um,
We I see that Sassy Gal was saying they grow lettuce all year round in their hydroponics. Yeah, I like to do
mhm,
that too.
mhm.
And we ended up getting the. I'm saving my dwarf tomatoes for hydroponics inside,
Awesome.
but our old strawberry bed we got rid of,
Hmm.
and I planted what do you call it? Currant and elderberry and currant bushes.
Oh,
because
awesome.
the currant I've had in a pot since Sandy gave it to me and had it over a year, but I just didn't know where to plant it. And so I've been really fertilizing it, taking care of it, and it was root bound, but we were able to get it in the ground, and so hopefully it'll thrive.
Oh, awesome. I don't think I've ever ate a currant, but I've heard of it.
I've had like currant products, like duck with currant and you know, jam or something like that. But
yeah,
so I'm excited
and
to
the
do that.
elderberries, did you start them from seed or did you use like a cutting?
Sandy had given me, dug up and gave me a plant with the root and everything.
Oh,
like the currant.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the cool thing is she's in the same zone as I am.
Yeah.
You know, she's in Wyoming, so it's 4B. So
Wonderful.
we're really excited about that.
Yeah. Very cool.
And I texted you just to take a quick look. So how's everybody doing out there? You guys got your garden in or what?
We do. So all phases of gardening. I've got squash in, but I'm thinking about planting more. I don't know. I guess I'm feeling like I have a longer gardening season here and almost kind of wondering, hey, Maria Graham, good to see you.
Hi, Maria Graham. Welcome.
Almost wondering if I'm feeling like I have time, like with the longer, but I'm also feeling like I'm behind because see, I would not be behind if I was in Northern Arizona like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we've got everything in except for squash and stuff, but I'm hardening them off this week. Ryan will have them in Saturday.
Yep. I have tomatoes in. I've got tomatoes both in and tomatoes out, but they're all like really good sized. And I even up potted some of them while I figure out what I wanted, where I wanted to put them. Because if it wasn't so much at this idea of what do I want right here? Hey, everyday life of an OCD-ish chick. Good to see you. So everything is, we'll put it this way. Everything is planted, but that doesn't mean I'm done. I might get a wild hair to plant more stuff because it's so fun. I'm definitely going to have plenty of tomatoes. And I feel like this year I'll be able to maybe figure out, what tomatoes I like best for making stewed tomatoes or making sauce, because I have so many different varieties that I'm growing as for tomatoes.
Right.
You're growing quite a few varieties of tomatoes too, right?
Yeah, I've got the ones that I was very choosy about what I picked this year. I had literally did some research on tomatoes that do well in my zone. Because we need earlier varieties and early girl gets boring. Yeah. But anyway, we're growing. So the two that came up that they say did well was Tigerella and Moscovic. And I've never grown them. So I was like, all right, so I've got them. We're growing Romas. Hey, Simply Jan. We are growing Tigerella, Moscovic. Sorry. And
Jan, you go right ahead.
Okay. And then some purple Cherokee. And I think that's it. And then I've got King of the North bell peppers. I've got chili and habanero, which I've never grown before because obviously the season is not great, but we got them in the greenhouse to see how they do. And then, tons of squash, because basically my outdoor garden is beans, broccoli, cauliflower, potatoes, squash, and it'll be whole cucumbers. We've not had like burpless cucumbers, but we have not had luck with anything like cucumbers that take a while. So I'm actually growing bush cucumbers this year and bush beans. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, awesome. We've got, I am growing some cayenne peppers. I always like to grow at least one of those just because of what we do with them. Oh, hey, here's Tony. Let's go ahead and pull him up.
Hello.
Hey, Tony.
How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Once I realized my date was wrong, was doing really good. I had stuck in my head today was the 29th, so it is what it is.
Trust me, I totally get it.
But I'm here, so that's what matters.
Welcome.
How was your weekend?
Busy. We had a lot of people. We didn't have anybody visiting, out of town, but there was people here Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday. So yeah, we had a good time. It was kind of relaxing, and got to play cards all day yesterday. We haven't played cards in a long time, so it was nice. So we had a good time. And I'm outside, so I got to deal with the bugs. Sorry.
I was noticing it's like nice and bright out where you are.
It
Me
is
and
very.
Grandma are like in the dungeon with
Yeah.
our purple lights behind us.
70. It's like 75. It's supposed to be 85, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Nice.
So for everybody who doesn't know you, do you want to introduce yourself and your channel and share with us where you live and your growing zone, all that good stuff?
So I am Tony from Kettle Kitchen. Obviously, that name change has jumped around a few times, like I'm sure many people have done in the past. I primarily do cooking videos, canning, things like that. When I was talking with Lisa this last week, though, I have learned that I love doing live shows. They seem to be fun, and there's a lot of information, and people seem to get involved pretty good. So it almost feels like I'm doing more of that sometimes than I'm doing anything. But I kind of set myself up to where I'm a 3-day a week schedule, so it makes it kind of, it is what it is. So but we live in a small town. I'm in Northeast Washington, and so our growing zone is 6B. We still we're not even out of our last frost date yet. So that makes it fun. Yeah, it makes it really
2 more weeks for us.
Yep, that's what I got. I got 2 more weeks, but I'm learning people take chances, so you really got to take that chances. And an example being a guy that lives 2 blocks down from me, he's got a whole full garden full of green stuff.
So
and
I 6B2. Where did you say you were again?
Northeast Washington.
Okay, and there you guys don't have a last frost date until when?
June, the first week of June. I can't remember the exact
That was
date,
how it used to be for me. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's irritating because a lot of the things that we like and would love to grow, they take 100 days. Well, you got a last frost date, that's fine and dandy, but when's your first expected frost date for the next fall? We have a short growing period. So
yeah, and Tony, one of the things you have to do is push the envelope, like you said, because I started a lot of my plants, like my loofah, because they need longer time, February.
Right.
I started peppers and tomatoes in February. They're not even large, but that's the thing. I'm going away this weekend, and Ryan has to take care of some things. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, it may sound trivial for our small garden. I said, but I've been working on these plants since February. So that's why we've got the greenhouse, and things like that can be really helpful. Like if you just take sometimes PVC or something and you just put plastic on it. There's so many different ways to do it, but it's taken us over 3 years to figure it out, because in Connecticut you went like this, scatter it, and it grew.
Right? How nice.
I even, all the direct sowing stuff, I start in the house.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like beans, I should have started, but I didn't. So I put them in the ground to see how they do. But everything else that's direct sow, I start in the house. Peas.
Right. But see, that's the difference. I mean, I remember me and Danny from Wicked Awesome Garden, we talked. We're exactly, and it looks like Jan is too, we're exactly in the same growing zone, but our microclimates and our direct climates are so different. I mean, they're just
Oh, I think the 3 of us are pretty good. So we're 6B in Missouri. And I was 6B when I was in northern Arizona, which was a lot like Lisa, but
Wow.
Lisa's in an even colder. What zone are you
Right.
again, Lisa?
I'm 4B, but I'm also over 5,000 feet in
Right.
elevation. You know,
Yeah.
we're 5318, I
Hey,
think it is.
squirrels, magnet fishing. Mhm.
And so that elevation does make a difference as
It
well,
does.
because it affects that zone. Even though it's 4B, doesn't mean it plays 4B.
Yeah.
Right.
6B
Yeah.
in northern Arizona, we were at 7,000 feet. And
Yeah.
it's very, very dry. So
Yeah.
we have the cold, but it doesn't speak to how arid it is or any of those other environmental challenges you might have, like wind or
Right.
what have you. And I think in Washington, y'all got some rain, right? Like you got plenty of water.
Well, and that's okay. So typically most people think that because Western Washington gets soaked. I think it's actually, I got a loud truck going by, but I'll try to make this quick. I think, hold on a second. Sorry.
That's okay. Sassy Gal's in Northern Virginia with zone 6B, and her last frost date was April 17th. Virginia's beautiful.
So in Washington, we really are separated. So anything that's west, I'm trying to think here, anything that's west of the Cascade Mountains
Uh-huh.
gets soaked
Uh-huh.
all but maybe 2 or 3 weeks out of the year, in all honesty. Okay.
Uh-huh.
We are more like a drier climate that gets hotter during the summer and colder during the winter. You know, when I first moved to the area I'm in now, we had 10 feet of snow that year.
Wow. That's
You
awesome.
know, haven't had that since,
Yeah.
but you know, but anyways, my whole point is that, yeah, there is a lot of moisture, but then we get so dry in the non-snowing months that we end up worrying about forest fires. That's how little bit of water we get compared to what the west side gets. So
Yeah.
So
we have similar where we have to worry about the wildfires. So, and we've been in a drought since 2019. And so the ironic thing is, and I find this perplexing, and it's actually driving me nuts this week, is we got one storm with 2 inches of rain a few weeks ago. Then we got another inch of rain, which is, it's amazing, right? Because we need it. We always dry up in a couple days. Right now, my pig pastures where they frequent are mud, disgusting mud. And so I've been trying to, I've never had to deal with it. And so right now, what I keep doing is feeding them hay on the opposite side to get them out of the mud. And because if they're walking and pacing the fence, when they see me coming, that's what makes more mud. But it's just, oh, it's disgusting. But never had to deal with that.
Right. And a lot of people do assume Washington, all of Washington is a rainy state, and it's not. I mean, it is just two total different worlds once you go over those mountains.
Crazy.
So,
hey, where to begin, Homestead?
So we had so 6B was my zone. We already said that. And the other thing I think about my channel that I've been trying to do, been working on, is trying to bring community together, because I think there's a growing community, whether that's farming, whether that's gardening, whether that's just on your windowsill. And then you got cooking, you've got homesteading in general, you know, things like that. There's so many of us from so many different locations geographically, so many different environments, and so many different things we're trying to attain. I feel that we've got so much to offer each other, but we're just kind of all over the place. And so one of my goals this year was trying to bring some of them together. I will never attain everybody. I'm not trying to. And I'm not trying to shout out every channel that I can, because there's too many of them to keep up with. You guys know that as well as I do. But if I catch them, or I see them, or I notice they're doing something that benefits somebody, that's the channel I want to put out there, because you know that they're in that caring is sharing mode, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of what I've kind of evolved into, as well as the collaborations, which is a whole nother conversation. But
I was listening to one of your lives and you were sharing how many collaborations you've participated in
Yeah.
since you started YouTube, which was less than a year ago still, I think, right?
No, actually, I'm over my year now, but
Okay.
barely, but yes.
So in the first year, and at the time that you mentioned it on the live, I think you said before you were at 1 year. Oh gosh, do you know how many? Because I think it was like 16.
It was 16, but I went back and counted because I had already had a couple more I was in. So that number before my year was 19 collaborations.
Wow.
I was part.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plenty more to come for this year.
Mm-hmm.
I love it though because I don't do it because I'm trying to benefit from views and shares and subscribers. I do it because I think you really get a chance to know and become friends and connected to other channels, and that's why I do it.
It's always a good challenge because you want to put your best foot forward, you know? So when you're on a collaboration, it does make you kind of dig and make sure that you've got good content.
Well, especially because you're also trying not to copy something you've already done. I mean, that, you don't want to be repetitive in what you're putting out there. So, I love Janice. She's a sweetheart.
She is.
She is.
It's like for Jam It Up June, I was trying to go way out on a limb on what I thought I wanted to do. And then I thought, it's been a while since I've just done plain. So for Jam It Up June, I'm just doing a peach bourbon jam. Sounds simple, but it's not one that I've ever done before. So in the challenge,
I wouldn't say it sounds simple. It doesn't sound.
No, but but there's people out there that do they'll do a wine infused balsamic onion jam. Hold on a second. Sorry.
That's okay.
Hi, Butler Family Farm.
Hey there, Butler Family Farm. Good to see you all.
So I mean, there are far more involved ways you could do it, but in the end of it, it's not really that hard now that I understand what I'm putting in it and how to do it.
Yeah.
But I've never done it. So that's the challenging part to me.
Yeah. So you want to tell everybody what you're talking about in case they don't know about the Jam It Up June and what you've got going this year?
Yeah. So last year I did Jam It Up June. That was the first collaboration I ever hosted. I got nudged into that one, we'll say, which is fine. I'm okay with
Strong-armed.
Strong-armed. There's the word. But you can't strong-arm somebody that's willing to move forward with it, right? At some point, I didn't put enough resistance up, maybe. But anyways, that was very fun to do. It was very successful. A lot of channels got involved. Everybody enjoyed the recipes that they, were able to find. And after that happened and seeing how the end result was, I decided at that point that I was going to go ahead and do it again this year. But I'm kind of trying to figure out before I go into that, let me rephrase it this way. There are some collaborations you do that are successful. There are some collaborations that are not successful. And so I'm here to tell everybody, just because you do a collaboration doesn't mean it's successful. That's the first thing, okay? Second thing is some people may not be interested in it, which I found out with Marmalade May, because that was one I was going to do this year.
Right.
And actually, it was me and Blue from Blue Self-Reliance. We were going to do Marmalade May, Jam It Up June 2.0 to give it a new title, and then Jarred Up July. I had to back off of Marmalade May because there wasn't enough interest. And unfortunately, we're moving in, as you guys know, we're moving into what's starting the harvest season for people. They're already, my do not disturb.
Repeat what you said there, because I missed that last part.
Yeah.
Hold on just 1 second.
Hey, Not For Nothing Homestead. Good to see you all.
Hey, Not For Nothing.
Normally, when I'm doing a live, I turn my do not disturb on, and I didn't, and that was a phone call coming through, so I apologize.
That's okay.
I had to not do Marmalade. I can't remember where I left off, so I'll just repeat this. I had to back off of Marmalade May because there was not enough interest. And as you guys know, we're moving into the harvest season. There's already people harvesting things. And so you're getting into that mode where there's people that are not going to be as interested in collaboration. So you struggle with that. Anyways, That's the bad side of it. And communication. That's the other hard thing about collaborations. But I decided to go ahead and do Jam It Up June, but I'm trying to make sure that people recognize what it is. So I went with Jam It Up June 2.0. Me and Blue went ahead and put that out. So that's what we're doing. And that would be because we had to drop off the marmalade thing, part of it. It's a jelly, jam, preserve, conserve, any of those four. And it can be a freezer jam. It can be a water bath can jam. It can be a jam making. There are machines out there you can make jam in. So that's just as well something that you can do too. So that'll go for the month of June. It'll start on the 1st. It'll go to the last day of the month. And we have 37 channels that are involved in it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's awesome.
That'll be fun to follow.
He put the freezer jam in there for me.
Yes. Lisa knows her freezer jam. I'll give her that.
The blackberry was so good.
Yes.
I really would like to be able to get berries off of my own that I've grown and make it, but we're so behind.
Yeah.
You know, I have the currant has flowers on it. I don't think that by June 23rd, because I know my video is going to be up on the 25th.
Right.
I will have that many currants to make.
Probably not.
But I'm going to hope.
Right.
And you do. The other thing is, excuse me, last year, being that it was my first one, and I'll be as honest as I can about this. I was overly sticky about rules and stuff like that because I didn't want my collaboration to have, and I'm not trying to start anything or get a conversation going, but I stick by USDA guidelines as much as I can, and I didn't want people putting videos out on my collaboration that didn't follow those guidelines, okay? I've now learned, and I've now backed off to a point, at least to the point that I can't control what a channel does. If you guys are in a collaboration with me and you guys put out something that's not good or unsafe, that's something your channel has to deal with, not me. So it's an evolution. It's an evolution.
I agree with you to a point.
Yeah.
And respectfully, the thing, you just don't want to be if you are a person who follows the USDA guidelines, what my concern would be is you're associated with the collaboration. Yes. So that's just my 2 cents. It doesn't really matter. It's your choice. But I just throw that out there because, I mean, I am not a chef. I am not a cook that I care to be. And I can tell you right now, and I've told you this on Friday, I was so nervous doing my video for Jam It Up June because but I wanted to represent. Because,
I get it.
And it wasn't just the rules. You said food safety, and that's the truth.
Right.
So it's just common sense. And I sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I said this and I said that and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I think it's important because it made me a better person.
Yes, I agree with it. I do. I got to a point where it really became a problem for me. And there's a couple other channels that fall into the same boat. And I'm just using the term for recognition of what I'm talking about. Anything that doesn't follow what's considered USDA guidelines is considered rebel canning. Okay.
Right.
Now, I'm not here to tell you whether you rebel can or not. That's your choice. I'm not that guy. I'm trying not to be that guy. Right. But I personally will not put out a video that I know does not follow those guidelines because I don't want Lisa 2 years down the road to open up a jar of something I made. She watched, she followed those steps, and then ends up getting sick from it.
Right. Well, that's why I chose freezer jam because
and there you go.
I have the canners, right? I have all the canners that I need. I never have enough abundance to can, so I wasn't going to experiment in a video. And that's why I told Tony, I was like, I'll do something, but I'm not canning it. Because I need to be able to do that.
I love freezer jam too.
I love freezer jam.
Because if you're going to be eating it soon, why worry about canning it for
Well, and it's not even just freezer jam. You can do refrigerator jam too. You know, that also is an option too.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, I what I'm really trying to get to, and I do take into what consideration what Lisa said, because I do feel that way. I'm just trying not to be the canning cop, if that makes any sense. Okay.
Yeah, you don't
I
need to
got
be a
better
canning
things to
cop.
do, you know.
You don't need to be a canning cop
No.
because the reality of it is everybody has their own personal responsibility
Right.
to do the
Right.
research and do what's best for them.
Yes.
If
And
it's rebel canning, go for it. If it's
I
not,
think it's a good
You're
conversation to have, though, because a lot of people, myself included, aren't aware of all of the risks of canning
right.
and the
Right.
dangers that you could experience in a couple of years. Hey, Andale.
hey, Andale.
And
Hello.
that's something I need to educate myself on because I'm kind of like Lisa. There was a time when I water bath canned jellies, and
Uh-huh.
I did apple and I did fig, and then I'd make fig Newtons. It was awesome. But I had a neighbor who had these fruit trees, and they would, we'd go over there and help them pick their
Right.
fruit, and then we'd take some home. It was awesome. Hey, Blue Self Reliance and Suburban.
Hello.
Hey, Blue. Hey, Suburban
but
Hillbilly.
even then, we had all the kids plus at home. That jam, even though I canned it, it was never in my cupboard for a year. It went
No.
that quickly.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that before, because I do want to start, that's one of my goals for this year is to can more.
Right.
So I'm going to follow you guys, and you know what I do. I'll do somebody.
If you have any questions, my friend, you call me and I'll help you. Ask Lisa. I try to be the guy that's there to help if I can. You know, I don't want people to do something wrong and say, well, I can't get a hold of XYZ, so I'm just going to wing it. Because unfortunately, winging it could cause you problems somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
Hey, Heroic River. Hey, Pike Creek.
I watched a horror movie once, and there was, somebody was a victim, and then you have the bad guy, and she gave him botulism or something, and he couldn't walk. Like, that's how she got away.
Right.
So I hear botulism, and you can get it from canned food. That's the first thing that goes through my mind.
Well, the honesty of it, I mean, because you brought the word up, I wasn't going to bring the word up, but since you did bring the word up, here in the U.S., it's like, and I'm glad Blue's in here because Blue can back up what I'm saying. Me and her have had extensive conversations about botulism.
Yeah.
Okay. Botulism is something that's already theoretically is already on a lot of plants. It's something that it's there. So you run into a problem if you're not properly cleaning what you're using, whether it's a fruit or a vegetable, yada, yada, yada. I could go on with that. My point is that washing those things still becomes part of food safety. Now, there was something else I did last year that I also am glad I did it, in all honesty, was that Blue, prime example, doesn't do the same process we do here in the United States. I'm not here to criticize her process. That's her process. Nor do I have the time. Let's be honest. Okay. So if somebody wants to do something that's not in the United States, I am not going to be the guy that says, no, you can't because it doesn't follow USDA guidelines. That's your channel, your way of doing it. You're from another country. And like she said, the United States is one of the few countries that does it the way we do it. Most of the world does it the way, say, Blue does it, or Switzerland, or Germany.
How did you learn how you do it? Who taught you?
Well, in all honesty, when I first started, I did what most people do. I went on videos and watched them and tried to learn from them. What equipment did I need? How do you do this? How do you do that? I quickly learned not everybody does it the way they should be doing it. Okay. And that was a learning process for me. So through my own research, through my own readings, because I have almost, I think, 2 or 3 times read that USDA book enough to know, you know, from start to finish, what it is you're looking for, what the processes are. So it's self-taught.
Yeah.
When it came to steam canning, I've had Leanne help me from Mennonite Farmhouse. I've had Ginger from Not For Nothing Homestead. I've had Tiffany from Mud and Mascara Homestead. I think Renee from Pike Creek Farm and I have talked a couple times. I didn't know pressure canning. So this year was my first. I'd done it before, but I wasn't confident in it. When I did proteins for the first time this year, by the time I was done, I was like, this was not as hard as I kept making it.
Awesome.
Right.
you
That's
know.
good to hear. I
And,
just saw
and
Sassy Gal Prepping. That's her goal for this year is to
yeah,
start canning more.
well, and a lot of people, because I mean, I know you guys probably have the memories of the blown hole inside the kitchen from where somebody, exploded a steam canner. I still had those hesitations,
Mhm.
even though I know.
I did not hear about that, so now that's
Okay,
that's a new one for me. Yeah.
I was paranoid about it, even though I knew the canner I was using has 4 protective devices on it to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so even though it was there because of my knowledge of past I've seen people go through,
Mhm.
and I knew it wasn't going to happen. You
Uh-huh.
can ask Ginger. I was like chomping my nails and worried about everything because I thought for sure I was going to do something wrong and blow a hole through my ceiling, but it never happened.
So I think Jan just started canning last year, and she said
Last
the
year.
same thing.
Yep.
She was super nervous about
Yep.
those kinds of things happening, but she's all over it now. She does great.
Yes. Jan actually did her strawberry jam for Jam It Up June for the first time she had ever videoed it or anything. So,
That's
but she loved
awesome.
it, and I've eaten it. She sent me some, and I was like, "Oh, that tastes so good."
I love the Instant Pot. I wish that it was a
Yeah.
canner too, but it's not. You mentioned your canner. What kind of canner do you use?
Mine is a Presto 23 quart
Mhm.
pressure canner. Here's and again, it's not one thing I want to go into, but it is something
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot. And I know of a couple people I know, and I am assuming one or two of you, as well as others inside chat, probably have what I'm about to talk about.
Right there on my freezer.
Is that an electric one by chance, my friend?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so here's the problem I struggle with that, and some people
Do
I've been
tell, because
degraded.
I wanted an electric one, and they're so dang
Right.
pricey, and I haven't done that yet. And the Presto is definitely more affordable, but
Yes, it is.
I'm worried about having the time to babysit it. So
And that is a big reason why people have that. I get that. Or the smaller quantity you can do. You don't feel like you're taking up so much space for 4 jars.
yeah.
Okay. Whatever it is.
Mhm.
The problem I have with it is that it's not been tested by the USDA to say that it's appropriate for all situations. Okay. Now I'm not here criticizing the company that puts it out because they do their own testing. Okay. The problem I did have with the Presto electric canner, and I'm only saying it because I know this for fact, they
Mhm.
put a seal on the side of their box that said USDA approved.
Mhm.
Hmm.
The problem is that was a misleading statement. The
Hmm.
Yeah,
USDA is sorry.
mine didn't say that.
Some have. I'm not saying all of
Wow.
them did
Wow.
or do, but they did at some point in time.
Wow.
The problem with that statement is that the USDA never tested an electric canner. Okay, what they were implying was that our stuff fits USDA guidelines, but they didn't put it out there like.
Right.
Oh,
I have
God.
an issue with that because I'm not. If you're willing to do that, then what else is wrong with the product you're putting out?
Agreed.
Okay. The second thing is that the elevation that allows, one of them does. I don't know about all of them because I haven't looked at all of them. I'll be honest there. The one product I have looked at doesn't account for all elevations. It only goes up to a certain amount. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I know for a fact we have people that watch us that are at 10,000, 11, and 12,000 feet
Yeah.
Hmm.
above sea level
Mhm.
that theoretically that device would not be acceptable for them to use because there is no variance for that
Mhm.
elevation difference. Okay.
Yeah.
The other problem I have with it, and again, please don't anybody hate me for saying this. You do you, boo. That's my thought process
Yeah.
nowadays. Okay.
Mhm.
But for me, I have a problem when you say I follow USDA guidelines. I wipe my rims. I make sure that everything's sterilized. I make sure that my product I'm using has been washed and cleaned. I make sure that I'm using this. I make sure that I do this, and I use an electric canner.
Mhm.
Wait a second. You follow all these steps to make sure it's done by guidelines, but that's the one thing you don't follow? That doesn't make sense to me. But that's,
Right.
again, my own personal
Totally
thing.
get it.
Hey,
The
I'm going
other
to
side,
correct something I said real quick. I said,
okay,
Dan, canned for the first year, and it was her first time pressure canning
Yes.
this year, and she's
Yeah.
done bone broth and everything. But
Yes.
otherwise, she just said she's been canning for like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, she has, but I know the jam was if I remember right, the first time she had videoed that one.
Yeah.
So
I bought the electric canner. I haven't used it yet. And the reason why I bought it is because I felt, and I'm not debating it, I'm just saying,
Right.
my concern was with my electric stove, keeping the pressure steady was a concern.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I thought that pressure would be better, because I thought it was about, with elevation, it's about how long you're doing it. So that was my plan, was to do that and use it because it's small.
Right. Again, for me, most people, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. We could be talking about picking up pig poop for all I care. I mean, everybody has their way of doing it. Everybody has their knowledge from somewhere. The only thing I want to do is try to put that out there. Now, while I criticize the electric canner, I gave the reasons behind it. So people know, again, as with anything we're talking about, go do your own research. You're the one that has to make that decision.
Yep.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Now, the only thing I've stipulated that is a hard, fast rule that some may have issue with is that I asked electric canners were not used in Jam It Up Jew.
Right.
Because I don't want to have that argument in comments later down the road with people. So,
don't worry, I won't.
I want to ask people in the chat a question real quick. For everybody who uses a stovetop pressure canner, does anyone have an electric stove and find that that's a challenge, keeping the pressure up?
I do.
And you don't.
I have a glass top stove, and I have not had issue with that.
Yeah, I used to have gas, so having the electric is kind of a bummer.
That's exactly my concern, because here's the deal. Our burners were horrible on my stove, and we're trying to put off replacing it until we do the kitchen, which is going to be forever. But here's the thing. We went to go buy a stove, and I didn't want to buy a glass top because I was worried about it being rated for canning. So I tried to look into glass tops that were rated for canning. I couldn't find one. Get ready for this. I couldn't find the Elements, because now the Element stoves come with a shutoff.
Yes, they do.
So we ended up spending money to buy all new burners.
Yep.
Versus the shutoffs on the Elements.
So something that goes into that. Think about the amount of money you did doing that. Think about the amount of money you spent on the electric canner. Okay, you could have went out and spent far less money for a single countertop unit that would have adequately done what you needed it to do and maintain your temperature at a far cheaper price.
We actually talked about getting a gas stove for outside.
Right.
Because that's how my neighbor cans is. He has a gas burner outside. Because it's just the electric was just a pain in the neck.
Right. So in with that, just informational, if anybody's looking at doing that, make sure the canner you're using is able to handle the BTUs put out by the burner. That is one of the biggest issues with doing that, because you actually, if it's too hot, you can melt the aluminum.
Yep.
Oh.
Yes.
Yep.
So again, do your own reason.
The BTUs put out by the stove.
By the stove and what your device, your vessel is able to handle.
Okay.
And again, I'm assuming all of us know, if you go out and buy an All-American, you're spending over $300 for it usually. Okay. You don't want to put that kind of money out there if it can't handle the BTUs. And it's not so much with the All-American as it is with the Presto, which is the one I have. That has actually happened more often than not, that people use the outside burners and have melted the pot. So
I'm laughing at Ann Dale. She said, "You are so cold, Lisa. Outside cooking sounds painful." It's actually beautiful now.
It is wonderful, yeah.
In fact, my shirt says literally freezing. but it's not now. It's absolutely stunning. We've actually had a pretty warm week.
So one other thing I want to throw into the Jam It Up June category real quick is that a lot of people like, well, I don't do jams and jellies because I don't eat them. I don't do peanut butter and jelly. I don't either. For as much jam and jelly I have on my shelves, mine primarily is not used for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I use it for sauces. I use it for glazes. I use it for desserts. I use it for breads. I've made jam bread with it before. You know, you got pancakes, you got French toast, you got crepes, you got this. There is a ton of different things you can do. Don't keep your mind in the box that it's peanut butter and jelly only, because it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I made a simple syrup with nectarines because I had nectarines going bad that came in my bulk food box, produce box, and I put it on pork.
Yes.
It was to die for. And and the same thing with like duck, you can do that stuff too. It's awesome.
I'll take you up on that, Jan.
I can't see what she said. I don't see any of the chat, so I'm not sure what's being said.
Oh, she said
they're talking about you.
I'm going to teach Tony how to can.
Hey, we lost Tony.
Uh-oh.
We lost Tony. He'll be back. It's his internet. I wanted to ask him real quick what some of his goals are for this year.
Mm-hmm. Here he is.
I knew he'd be back.
Don't mess with buttons when you're in a live. That's the best advice I can.
Oh, see, it wasn't your internet. It was you.
No, it was me. I hit leave accidentally.
Hey, Tony, talk about some of your goals for this year for yourself.
So I've actually attained 3 of the 4 goals I set out for my channel this year. Number one was the bring communities together. That was a primary goal I had. Second one was I was going to successfully pressure can proteins and pressure can other items, whatever that might have been. Another one is dehydrating, because I have never done dehydrating, and I got one for Christmas, and my mom keeps like, I bought you a dehydrator. How come you're not using it?
Awesome.
And the other one, to get better at what my channel puts out content. Okay. So I've already done the pressure canning. I've done potatoes, carrots. I've done broths. I've done 3 different kinds of broths. I've done ugly chicken and ugly pork. I've done those. So I've accomplished that part of it. Those 2 goals there. The bringing communities together, that's an evolving thing that will continue as I go. So dehydrating is really my one thing I still need to attain that I've not reached yet. But I will. I'm just waiting for harvesting to come in to really start putting that in play. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I'm going to excuse myself for just 1 second because I hear somebody coming up to my door. I'll be right back.
Okay, no worries. So on my list for this year is the canning. I've already done the dehydrating, but I can always, you know what I want to do with the dehydrating is the meals in a jar.
Yes.
Like Lisa does it with the freezer canner.
Yeah.
But I can still take her recipe and just dehydrate it and do it that route. So that's something I want to do.
Actually, I remember, in all honesty, it's funny that you're talking about that, because me and Dale and Lisa over at 9 Acre Family Farms, we've been talking about that, was just what you said. There's not, if something's freeze dried, theoretically you should be able to dehydrate it, and even if you don't have a dehydrator, you could still use your oven to dry out said items as well. How that works, I don't know. Don't ask me. I can't tell you any of that, but theoretically it should work. But I remember back when I was a kid, there was a thing that was out, and I don't know if you ever heard of it. It was called Soup Starter, and what it was dehydrated vegetables with, the fake processed meat, but it had like ramen seasoning in it already. All you did was add the water and anything else you wanted to it. And it made a soup. So hold on a second.
I see they're talking about meals in a jar. I love it.
Yes. He's saying one of his goals is to dehydrate more. And I was telling him I dehydrate, and I've dehydrated, a lot, but I've never done the meals in a jar. I've done like, your dehydrated onions, your dehydrated, chives. I mean, things like this. I love making fruit roll-ups, and the grandbabies love it too.
I bet.
But there's always more you could do with something. And Sassy Gal was saying she loves meals in a jar too. So we were talking about you, Lisa.
So I was telling
recipes.
What I was telling Tammy is I remember back when I was a kid in the 70s, there was a item called soup starter. And it was nothing more than dehydrated items that you put in with water or broth to make your soups. Well, theoretically, it's a meal in a jar is what it is.
Yes, it is.
So there's no reason. Yeah, there's no reason you can't make your own if you can dehydrate it, or at least get that water out of those items and dry it down in your oven. Even you can do that to an extent.
I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is a lot of the recipes out there that I've seen online will call for freeze dried and dehydrated, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I've found is if you mix them, let me go back. What I've found is I think it's challenging to mix dehydrated with freeze dried. And the reason why I say that is because dehydrated potatoes, like the mashed potato flakes, take what do you put? A cup of water, 2 cups of water, and the stuff in it, and it expands.
Right.
Freeze dried isn't the same.
Right.
So I learned that the hard way by wasting so many of my potatoes.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm thinking, add water to it like the dehydrated, and that's not how it works. So what I've learned is you boil the water and you have to add a little bit at a time, until you get the right consistency.
Because I'm assuming if you overwater it, it mushes it up. I'm assuming.
It gets watery.
Yeah, and it just probably just breaks apart and dissolves too, doesn't it?
Well, that's
right.
That's really good for where you're located, Lisa, because I don't know, like I'm just thinking when you live in a place where water is not necessarily as abundant as it is in other places, freeze-dried food is perfect because it takes less food or less water to rehydrate it. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah. Yes. And that's one of the things that I've said, like in my videos, and I put a short out about it, is that you have to be careful. So if you're new to that, to me, it's choose one or the other.
Yeah.
Right.
Or know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's the thing. So if you put them both in the same jar, you better know what you're doing or you're going to have a waste. So Tony was talking about the canning, right? So freeze drying is a new thing, right? For a lot of people. We can say it's been around for a few years now, but so I got attacked recently.
Oh no.
By a freeze drying authority person who, the canning cop. Well, there was a freeze drying.
Okay. I was going to ask that.
Yeah. Who said, well, you need to weigh it. You need to do all this. Don't just look if it's dry. You can tell if it's dry. You can tell if it's not dry. But again, like Tammy said, I'm not keeping it in my freeze dryer. I'm not keeping it in my pantry for 30 years, even though it could be there. I'm using it. I'm keeping a heavy stock for us, but we're all using it. There's using it within a year.
Rotated.
Right.
Yeah, because we're rotating it.
Yeah.
And it's like you can tell if it's not good. I mean, you can tell if a seal's broken. You can tell if it's any moisture gets in there at all. You know what happens? It's not dry anymore.
Right.
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it. Right.
But I was attacked.
I think, the unfortunate part, and I'm finding this, and the more I expand out to other people, I'm learning it happens more and more than I thought it did. Because in reality, very few times do I get any negative comments on my channel. Okay.
Right.
Has happened, but very few times do I get it. I think people don't look at what they're saying before they send it, if that makes any sense. Because I think in your case, let's give an example, assuming I'm I know what I'm talking about, which I don't. So take that in mind. The person telling you what they were doing, it took it from a approach, I hope, that they were trying to educate you on what to
Yes.
do in the future. But when they sent it, it doesn't come across that way. It
It's
comes across
text.
as wow, 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 you know?
Well, you want to know something? Like I've been in these this is why I don't like Facebook, freeze drying groups.
Right.
I mean, you post something, you're all excited about it, and you say you're a newbie,
Right.
right? And the same thing happens. Exactly what you just said, Tony,
Right.
is people are like, you better pierce those blueberries. You better do this. You better do that. And I'm just like, thanks for
Helping.
crushing my Wheaties.
Yeah.
I want to say the right thing.
Thank you for smashing my blueberries.
Hi, thanks for crushing my spirit.
Yes. Yes.
I'm like, well, if I was all amazing and know it all like you, how amazing would life be?
That'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?
But it's just like, how about something like, hey, you know what I've learned is if I pierce my blueberries, it helps them dry faster.
Yes. Or great job on what you did. Here's a little advice just for moving forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is wrong with that comment? There is nothing wrong with it, you know?
Better pierce those blueberries now.
So do you use the dangly or the studs when you pierce them?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I said, thanks for the information.
Exactly. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because I'm not fighting with people online.
Well, and I think the other thing that's funny
Hey
too
there,
about
Truth.
that's funny about commenting. People don't understand. You can be nasty with me all you want to, if that's your choice. I'm going to make one choice or two choices, one of two choices. I'm either going to delete the comment or it won't be shown, or I'm going to leave it up there because you know what? Whether it's negative or positive, it's still interaction, and that's part of the algorithm. So you haven't really hurt me if that's what your intention was.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I had somebody, what did they ask me one time? They said, why are you using 2 softeners in my laundry detergent thing? And I was like, and I'm like, all right, let's do the research. I go
Okay.
back to the boxes and I said, such and such is this and such is this, not 2 softeners. I didn't say not 2 softeners, but I said, and they were like, you have fallen prey to the latest trend or something like that. And I went, okay, we're done here.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm wonderful for information if it's valid information.
right.
I can only take the tin hat for a little bit of time and then it becomes overwhelming.
Suburban Hillbilly said, because I felt like it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would do.
Yeah, Suburban Hillbilly. The only thing is this, Suburban Hillbilly, we never know what person is behind the comment. They could have issues. Yeah. They could be scary people. They could be benign people. We don't know. So the bottom line is my feeling is I'm not arguing with a faceless person. Mm-hmm. I either delete and block, mm-hmm. or I thank them kindly. For example, one time I had somebody tell me how wind chill does not affect livestock, and
what?
Yeah, and so I commented very nicely to them, thanked them for their input, and in my next video I said, wind chill affects livestock.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I haven't had too much like that, thank goodness. I mean, I've had some, when Mountain Grandpa posts a guitar video, I got to watch those comments. Not the kind of same negative comments you guys are talking about. I got to go watch them. He'll have some looky-loo.
Looky-loo.
Well, you know, I mean, and the reality is too, you know, the other thing people got to understand is we're all theoretically, we're all trying to grab from the same pool in a sense. We're all
Yep,
looking for
Dennis.
subscribers to help build our channel, to
Mhm.
evolve our communities, to make them bigger and help more people out the bigger we are, right?
Mhm.
The problem with that is that also, you will get a problem over here that transcends to your channel, goes up to Lisa's, goes over to Tammy's.
Mhm.
And you really have to pick and choose what you're doing and what you're saying. Because if you don't, it will bite you in the backside of wherever
Yep.
Mhm.
faster than
Yeah.
anything. So I've really got myself to where, and I hope I do it this way. Theoretically, there's not much drama that happens on my channel.
Mhm.
Now, there
Yeah,
may
I don't
be
have it either.
behind the scene issues I'm dealing with, but hopefully that's never come out on my channel.
Yeah.
Right. No, I agree. I
You're
agree.
clear
It's
of any drama. Absolutely.
Yeah.
choosing drama and choosing hate is just not worth it. So
No.
it just aggravates me. Yeah.
Yes.
So we are at the top of the hour. Does anybody have any questions for Tony or Lisa or myself?
And while we're waiting for questions, Tony, I'm really glad you joined us today. It's been a great
I'm really glad
conversation.
I'm really glad you sent me a text message. Let me be honest, okay? Because I'd still be sitting here like, oh, I got to get ready for tomorrow's live. So for that, I apologize. I do.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
No
I do
worries.
too,
No.
Janice. We share everything too. You know, good, bad, indifferent,
Yeah.
screw ups.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm here to put a video out that people will enjoy. Do I edit some of that out? Yes, I do. I am not going to imply that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not cutting out what's important because I think you need to see those steps along the way. Do some of my videos get boring? Yes, I'm not going to deny that. Do I try to make some of them funny? Yes. But it's about enjoying what you're doing, and that's all I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then editing is a good thing.
Yes.
Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're putting in your garden and you expect me to watch 2 hours of gardening because you're not editing, you've lost me in 2 minutes.
Yes, I agree.
So editing is important. It doesn't mean that you're, like you said, cutting out the bad stuff. You're making it more appealing
Yes.
by highlighting what is important to the viewer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think that comment's for you. Game night.
Tonight is game night. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She
Totally
is
get
she
that.
is one of my diehard chat people, and I love her to death. She's an awesome lady.
She is.
And then, so you've got game night on Tuesdays.
Yes, and right now we're I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think today. Sorry.
Sunday.
No, it's game night. That's what we call it. Game night with Kettle Kitchen, and this we just finished a music one. That was a very long stretch, and we got chat involved in the end part of it, so that was great. This one is it started out as a version of Taboo, if you guys know what that game is. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't
But
really-
we're adding additional components tonight. So it's going to be a mix of Taboo
Mhm.
and Password.
Mhm. Oh, that's
Put
fun.
together.
I know what Password is.
But we're evolving it. I'm learning what do we need to do to it. How does it work? Is the timing correct? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
cool. And then you do one on the weekends too, right?
Sunday we do functioning chat, and what the goal of that one was primarily to what does it take to make us function, or what are we functioning in currently, or whatever that may be. So there's a running series that happens on the Sunday one. One we've been doing, which is our $5 food pantry challenge. What do we spend? We get $5 a week, and we have to come back and show what we spent for the 4 weeks. So we do it once a month usually.
Interesting. Okay.
At the end of that, our whole intention behind that is, in a year, what was I able to stock in my pantry at $5? And because each of us come from a different geographical area, a different lifestyle, a different way of what we're doing, it's different approaches on how we're doing and how we attain that goal. The second one, which I just started this last Sunday, which was just an introduction, is how to run a collaboration. And that will go for 4 or 5 weeks from the start of a collaboration to the end of a collaboration.
Awesome.
So,
And then speaking of collaborations, you've got Jam It Up June,
excuse me. Yeah.
Jam It Up June, and Jar It July.
Jar It Up July. And Jar It Up July is anything you can put in a jar, theoretically.
All right. So
I
everybody,
don't want to see motor oil in a mason jar. That's not going to help much.
Make sure you follow the rules.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, let me ask you this, and you may not want to answer this, Tony, and feel free not to.
Those kind of questions scare me, but go ahead.
No, you talked about. I think this is important to get. I'm going to back off.
No, please do, because I'm willing to answer whatever. So
sometimes collaborations have to put out rules.
Yes.
About things that appear in videos that are inappropriate.
Yes, I can speak of
that. From tobacco products to other items.
Yes.
For me, that's common sense.
Correct. Yes.
But for some folks, it's not. And I want to throw, I'm not going to drag Tony into it. I'm going to say it myself. Folks, we got to be professional.
Yes. Yes. Now, I will elaborate on that a little bit if you don't mind. Real quick. I'll try to be quick about it, okay? We have to remember that we're showing our videos all over the world. There are some countries you're not allowed to show alcohol. There are some countries you're not allowed to show a firearm. There are some countries you're not allowed to do illegal activities on a screen. We have to be cognizant of those situations, and you very well could get a channel in another country yanked down because they're in a collaboration with you. So on top of that, YouTube now has more stringent guidelines they put out for their community policies. So especially in Jam It Up June, I've got rules that apply to that. There's 4 rules that go over all of that, and I hope everybody understands it. But if you can't do that, unfortunately, I'd have to yank your video down and not let it go up in the collaboration. You can leave it up on your channel, but I would have to pull it out of the playlist because I don't want any of my channels to get into a situation where they may lose their channel because of somebody else's video. So,
yeah,
I'll shut up now.
No, I just wanted to bring that up, and I hope you're including that in your collaboration information.
Yes, it is in my rules. Yes.
Well, I meant with
sounds reasonable.
How to do a collaboration.
Yes, it is part of. It's on my list. Yes,
I'm glad that you're doing that. That was my whole long-winded point of bringing that up.
Okay, we're good then. We're on the same page.
I think it sounds reasonable. I mean, everybody's sharing out everyone else's videos. I never thought about it, so I'm glad you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The other thing people need to be aware of too is when you make your video not intended for children, you also have to watch what if you make it intended for children is different than if you make it not intended for children.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
If you make it not intended for children, you should not have children in your videos.
Right.
You should not be doing anything that is a violation of law because you can be shut down because of that now.
Right.
So the whole point is you have to take in consideration what you're putting out there, what you're exposing your channel and your viewers to, and what harm it might bring another channel.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't see any questions, Tammy.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Be sure to check out Tony at Kettle Kitchen. He's got game night tonight and Sunday lives as well. And
Friday night
collaborations coming up. And Lisa and I have a collaboration that's going to be coming up in September. Just throwing that out there real quick. Sourdough in September. We'll tell you more about that in the future. Lisa, anything you want to share about your channel before we close?
No live this Friday night because I will be away. I may do a pop-up. Not sure because I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna be away. I'm not saying where I'm going because I'm so excited. But stay tuned. I will at some point have a video on it. But that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Tony.
Yeah,
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.